Hello everybody, my name is Catherine and we're going to be talking about misconceptions of alcoholic use. So today I'm going to be talking about misconception of alcoholic use. A lot of our beliefs when we are drinking wine, for example, we feel like that has less alcohol so we can drink more. There are a lot of misconceptions with that. Wine has enough alcohol as either with vodka or tequila. It has alcohol, just has a little bit, but when you're drinking a lot of alcohol, trying to consume as much as you can, people feel like that they're not drunk. And there's a lot of misconceptions with alcoholic use and behaviors, as well as when it comes to self-harming or eating disorders. I feel like I need to bring about awareness to alcoholics because I suffered through alcoholism as well. And when I was researching about this, I was actually surprised and I learned something from this because I believe the same things as other alcoholic would. So I'm going to give you 60 misconceptions of alcoholic use. Also, if you are curious on where I got this information, I will post a link in the description bar below for any of those who would like to read more about the misconceptions of alcohol, as well as I'll put the misconceptions of self-harm. I'm thinking about doing a video on that, but I feel like I need to talk about alcoholism because it is an addictive behavior. In the long run, people don't realize that you can become addicted to alcohol as any other drug as very easily. The first misconception of alcoholic use is that beer and wine are less intoxicating than mixed drinks. Just a glass of wine or a bottle of beer or even a shot of whiskey is equivalent to the same amount of alcohol content. Misconception number 2 is that coffee is a quicker way for you to sober up. The alcohol in your body dissipates from about 0.15% per hour in your body. So even if you do drink coffee, it really only takes time for it to dissipate out of your system. Alcoholic consumption while during pregnancy can cause alcoholic fatal syndrome. Basically, what this told me was that some women did drink on their pregnancy and others refused to drink on their pregnancy. I wouldn't recommend refusing to drink on pregnancy because I wouldn't want to hurt the baby. I would be even scared for myself to drink while pregnant, and I don't even want to get pregnant, but I would be scared for my own health and the baby's health. Misconception number 5. United States is the heaviest drinking country. In 2011, World Health Organization reported the top 10 alcoholic consuming countries were mostly in Europe and 9 out of 10 Eastern Europe. Not saying that Massachusetts is any better with their alcoholism either. Misconception number 6. People who contain a lot of alcohol are super lucky. People who can obtain a lot of alcohol aren't really that lucky when it comes to drinking really heavily, because sometimes in the long run people really become dependent on alcohol. Misconception number 7. A big meal can help you stay sober. A full stomach doesn't absorb all the alcohol content in the bloodstream. All it will do is just slow down the process. Misconception number 8. Alcohol is the root cause of alcoholism. That is not true. When it comes to wanting one drink, that is different from when somebody can only depend on alcohol, is when they want to stop the shakes or when they want to get rid of headaches, they consume the alcohol. Alcoholics Anonymous is the dependency of alcoholism, not where you can stop just 1 or 2 drinks. Is when you feel like that is the only dependent thing that you can have. Misconception number 9. Prohibiting alcohol reduces alcoholism. People in general will try to take away the alcohol, trying to reduce the alcoholic behavior. By taking away somebody's alcohol or even putting it not where they can find it or having it nowhere in sight, trying to legalize alcohol like they are with cigarettes, they're still going to find a way to get the alcohol like they are with their drugs, their addictions. They're going to find any way possible to control their own addiction. Misconception number 10, alcohol can kill brain cells. I have heard about this where people would consume a lot of alcohol. They would think that it would kill brain cells, but in fact, it actually does not do anything to the brain. Although I wouldn't recommend on having more than what you should be having with alcohol, or just not having any alcohol at all if you can control it. It's just not a good idea to consume more alcohol than you should, but it doesn't kill any brain cells. Misconception number 11. Sulfate in my wine makes my head hurt. Sulfate is what makes the color and the taste of the wine. So if you're over consuming the wine or any sort of alcoholic drink, of course you're gonna get a headache. It doesn't matter if it's wine or beer, it's still gonna give you a headache. Misconception number 12, alcohol warms me up. Alcohol in small amounts can warm you up, but consuming so much alcohol, it could actually bring you into hypothermia. Okay, I really didn't know about this one, but this is misconception number 13. And when you are doing a breathalyzer test, you can trick it by sucking on a penny. I never even heard about that, and even if it was true, I would highly doubt that, because nowadays you can't even get away with anything. Honestly, I would just play it safe. If you are drinking, I wouldn't recommend driving, or even if you do have a problem, I would recommend AA, but I'm not even a professional, and that's really stupid to even think about using a penny in my perspective, and I never even thought of that, but that is one of the 13 misconceptions that we have been through this whole list that I've been reading from the site that I found. And there is a lot of information, but that is probably one of the most dumbest things I've ever heard, is to use a penny while you're using a breathalyzer test. Misconception number 14, take an aspirin before or during while you're drinking. It can reduce a hangover. Unfortunately, aspirin doesn't cure hangovers. In fact, that aspirin increases the speed and the degree of alcohol intoxication. Misconception number 15, drinking dark beer has higher content of alcohol than light beer. Drinking light or dark beers can be equally high in content of alcohol. Finally, the misconception we're all been waiting for is misconception number 16. Alcohol can help you sleep. People who are dependent on alcohol or people who aren't dependent on alcohol. People who are dependent on alcohol can even have trouble sleeping because they're so dependent on the alcohol that they just don't sleep. It will only take a matter of time for us to become dependent on it. Sometimes people can fall asleep for a few minutes and then wake up, and then that's it. So if you're dependent on alcohol, it is possible that people have trouble sleeping. So I'm hoping that you got something out of this video. It is possible for someone who has been suffering with alcoholic behaviors, it's possible to stay sober. If you want to help, it's possible to go get the help. And if you have a friend or family that is struggling, you're not alone with alcoholism or any sort of addiction. You're not alone. And I'm hoping that this video helps people understand that when people just have 2 drinks, it's not considered really alcoholism. You're having 2 drinks, but when you're having more than 2 drinks on a weekly basis, or you're binge drinking, or you're doing it every night, that can cause a lot of effect on yourself as well as the ones that love you are around you. More knowledge about alcoholism, as well as myself, I learned something too. So I'll be seeing you soon, and be safe, everybody.